With the state budget passing, with the.
With the 285 state budget page state budget
With the
in the
285
late night Friday.
Exactly. Someone.
Yeah.
Do you think that means that we're gonna see money regularly on, in the coming year?
No, I mean, the area where they lag behind are on some of the special ed funding and transportation. So they've increased both of those areas, but the reason the state is late is because they're behind in paying bills. I don't see that changing, so I think that they'll still fulfill their obligations to school districts, but it will continue to be late. What is interesting in there is a capital bill of about $1.5 million, I believe, and we're in the process of working with Chapman and Cutler, who is bond counsel, and PMA to see if that capital bill, if there's a way for us to apply for some of those capital dollars to offset the referendum dollars. It's I mean, they're trying to get through the 300-page document. There's no, and all the regulations that will go with the capital bill and everything, but I just wanted to put that on the radar, that should there be an opportunity for us to leverage those capital dollars, we will go after that in any way that we can.
Did you want to discuss the workers' compensation?
Sure. In here Board Member Coyle did a wonderful job summarizing it. Our workers' compensation renewals on 7/1 of each year. We are in a cooperative or secondary school cooperative risk management program. We've been a member for many years. Our costs have declined over the last years as we've put in safety training measures and dedicated claims administration, even while our covered payroll has been increasing. So our allocation went down this year about 4.51%. And this is an informational item because how Scrimp works is you either accept the renewal unless you give notice that you would like to pull out of the pool.
Okay, so it's just information. Okay.
Yes.
Any questions on that? Okay. All right, instructional services, Sean?
Yeah, so in your board packet, you have the annual college follow-up report. This is the data that we get from the National Student Clearinghouse. Pretty traditional. I make mention that we did see a slight decline in overall enrollments, but I will point you to the first page of Don's synopsis of the report that this is not a 100% accurate report that we get each year. This is a better than what we used to have, which was when students self-reported what they would be doing in the fall, but due to some of the factors Don mentioned, not all schools being involved, slight changes in names, kids starting early, so forth and so on. It's not 100% accurate, but it's a good indication of what our students are doing in the fall of their graduating.
What I did think was held some weight is that, total 4-year and 2 years, they all decreased slightly. So it wasn't just like one iteration. Do you have any thoughts? Obviously you don't know for sure, but do you have any thoughts by that?
It is so varied. Everything from the cost of attending school to, we did see a slight uptick in the number of students who actually joined the military in the past 2 years. So it really can be any little iteration, because when you're talking that small of a percentage, you're not talking a big N of students.
And we held a career signing night at Maine West a few weeks ago, and we'll probably either hold something similar in each building moving forward or do a district one. But what has happened is we've built out our business footprint, is that a number of our students are going directed to apprenticeship programs, training programs, directly into the world of work in really, really good high-paying jobs that also often lead to advancement. So it's natural to assume that that footprint's going to grow a little bit. That's a good thing. So I think we have to talk about, if we see declining college enrollment, that is not necessarily a bad thing. If we linked up a student with an apprenticeship program, for example, to go to IBEW, it's actually a really good thing. So.
No, I agree, and that's why I was asking, because we, in our career pathways and all, we've done, and been recognized for, so we prepare students for 2-year, 4-year, or vocational choice, right? So that's what we've been advocating to address all of our students. So do we track the students who are entering into vocation, just independently? Because that might be a good stat
So
to
we
look at
actually,
along with this.
we actually started this year using one of our tools that we're doing for career advising, trying to capture that information. The challenge is, once they leave us, they change a phone number, they change an address, and it's very difficult to get in touch with them. However, we are capturing their cell phone numbers and personal email addresses now so that we can do some follow-up outreach, because we do want to know, as Dr. Wiles has alluded to, what is the effectiveness of our career programming? And that's one way we'll be able to get at that.
Right, so the ROI is a best
But-
practice too. People, I think, come to us. I saw that when we were at the National School Board Conference, people come to us and asking about our program, and so we can have that ROI data.
I think you're also asking, like, from a reporting standpoint, like, perhaps this specific report needs to evolve a little bit to just say, post-secondary directions and include with, 2-year, 4-year, and probably career orientation. Because we do know a lot of those students, and we probably ought to make it our, interest to make sure that we're tracking where students are going regardless.
And without realizing the integrity of the data point, the end might be too small to directly compare here, but to have some kind of comparison.
It's interesting because I think the one we held at West is probably the first official one we've done. Will not be the last one. So, the best guess is anecdotal, but I do think it'd be easy enough for us to at least begin some attempts to collect that data, maybe reshape this report a little bit. And also, we've captured some of the stories of those kids. Because at first blush, if you just say, well, fewer kids are going to go to college, some may look at that and go, it's a bad thing. It's actually not. It's not a bad thing at all. And I think we have to be honest about sending that out loud and give an honest picture about what does that look like, what does that mean? And it certainly is a pivot from what we've just been about, and I think it's a good thing. So.
I just want to quickly mention, this is definitely a very informative data that we can access to it. Something interesting is that, for example, like Maine East, we have a total of 73% graduates attending coming fall, Maine East, compared to Maine West, 71% graduate this fall, compared to Maine South, 89%. And then for the students who's graduated, they're going to 4-year college and 2-year college, like in Maine East, 36% are going to 4-year, 37% are attending 2-year. Compared to Maine West, 38% going to 4-year, 32% going to 2-year. Interestingly, Maine South, 70% are going to 4 years and 19% are going to 2-year. So what do you think the huge differences between, again, still, along with the financial reasons maybe, but Maine East and Maine West, 73 and 71% of total graduation compared to 89% of what Maine South graduation.
You've answered your questions. At Maine South, our low-income numbers are below 10%. At East and West, the true numbers are 50% above. It's money.
But at the same time, many of the low-income families, they can also get scholarships to private schools that regardless, there must be a chance of attending schools by the
And that's true, and a lot of our students do it. You look at some of the specialized programs, the Ascent program at West, and the Gifted Lyceum, and the Schuler Scholar at East. Those programs all have a lot of students that are getting not, substantially, probably most of which will pay. But if you take the full distribution of students, the pain points in terms of the affordability will probably hit our low-income students sooner if they don't have a student that qualifies for a lot of scholarships and things like that. The other piece of it too, Jen, I think that we have to keep being aware of is it's a generational thing. So more commonly, our families at Maine South are led by folks who have 1 or more degrees themselves. Mom and dad often have degrees, and that correlates to students going to school. So we have more first-generation students at the other 2 schools. So part of what Dave Barker used to say, I think our job is to address student all our students. There isn't anything bad with more students going to Oakton to begin. And what's really interesting, ABC 7 last week had a Maine East student featured on there who, and I'm hearing more and more of this of our students talking the language about return on investment. So that's a good thing. And I think moving forward, you'll see, not just here, if you look at our trends, you can almost always see trends happen here and they'll happen in the rest of the country. So community college, I think as people are increasingly aware of the concept of return on investment, you're going to see community college go up. Community college already has a disproportionately high enrollment rate among lower income students, and it always has. But the thing that I see happening or predict happening is more students who maybe could afford to go right away to college will go ahead and go to college for a year or two because of either they don't know what they're going yet or they've just done the economics of the degree that they're going to, and if they're listening to the return on investment, depending on their situation, because the truth is on the scholarships have actually really shrunk in this country. That's one of the reasons that this generation of kids has 300% more debt than their parents did. It's because, if you want to know one of the main drivers of the $1.6 trillion debt, it's because states have flatlined or shrunk their support for higher ed. That's happened across the country, and that's a big, big driver of debt. So the money that was there in the 70s when I graduated high school, the early 80s, the landscape's changed on that.
Well, agree. Along with that line, talking about more of a financial aid for low moderate income families, the university does offer a great deal and continues to still do. And as you mentioned, actually, Maine East and Maine South, I don't have the accurate data, but I'm sure there are many immigrant families are arriving based on the population changes. And as we are aware, many immigration parents also have an anchor for their sons and daughters educate in higher education because they want to send their kids to universities, regardless of 2 years and 4 years. So, but the comparison number of these facilities, big changes. And although since we do not have the data on the technology jobs field, I'm sure that many of them will be into that field too. But along with that line, we hope to encourage possibly more Maine East and Maine South the students to educate them to or maybe assist them to be more inclusive for the Maine universities. I don't know what they're talking about.
You know, one quick comment on that one, since we are going to be looking at some metrics or at least tracking, if there's a way that we can even track desirability the first 2 years they go to Oakton, and then they move on to a four-year university. What if we can track how many of those students have actually done 2 years and where they've gone? That would be
That would be
a
great data
statistic.
Actually, Oakton has one of the highest rates for that transfer rate in the state of Illinois.
We can present that. Yeah. So this is just, every year, it's so interesting, and it's interesting that everyone, all three schools, the highest number goes to Oakton, right?
And that's been true every year since Oakton's opened up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
that's.
And actually, the split that you see, Jen, that's not a new trend. That's been in play for a long, long time. So that isn't anything like recent. That's been at least since the mid-2000s. Maine East became a majority minority high school in 2004. West was 3 or 4 years ago. So as those trends have changed, that's been sort of the trend that we've seen. Don't disagree with you, but in any student that's going to any college, what we're trying to solve is make sure they know why they're going before they figure out where they're going, because that matters. The why actually matters more than the where.
Like I said, this is a very good information data.
And just Sheila, just as a new board member, this is one of the most interesting reports to me. Not that they're all fascinating, but this one, especially to track each year and to have more data points on that, it really shows the results of what we do here, right? Of what the board administration does here. Really supports. Essa, do you want to talk about?
So the next, forgive me.
Yeah. Over the last 2 years, as ISB has tried to implement ESSA or to kind of get up to speed, one new thing that they developed this year is what's called the District Consolidated Plan. We used to do a Title I plan, which was last approved by the board 2 years ago. It doesn't have to come annually as long as we don't have significant changes. And that was specifically for our Title I grant, because that's where a lot of the hooks come with taking the federal funds with all the requirements that we need to do. But this year, ISB asked us to complete a district consolidated plan, which includes not just Title I, but also our Title II, which is our professional development grant, Title IV is innovative programs, our IDEA special ed grant, and our Title III limited English learner grant. So it's basically asking us to demonstrate how we're meeting the requirements of the grant, that there's a rationale behind the programs that we're implementing with the federal funds, and that sort of thing. So it's more just kind of me filling in the text boxes with what we're doing and how we're meeting the requirements.
How long is that report?
It's actually quite long. There's a lot of
Is there a summary?
my responses are very short, but there's a lot of verbiage in there. And the problem is this is an online submission through ISB's IWAS system. And so all I can do is ask them for a printed version, and the print is very, very small. And I tried to manipulate it, but it's like every paragraph is its own text box, and it would just take forever. But if you do look at it on your Chromebook, you can expand the font size and see it.
Well, it sounds like that would be something that would be beneficial for the board if that information was distilled in some way and highlighted, so we could know what's in the content of that without getting, so if there's any way we could generate that report to your board, like just distilling.
In general,
Sure,
what
it's
that
like
report is how we are spending each line item of our title funds. So it would, even with a synopsis, it would be a very long report, so we're happy to do that for you. But it goes down, for example, you would see part of it in Mary's reports and sort of funding instructional coaching positions, for example, TA salaries.
There's just regulatory information on
That's what it sounds like.
how to internal control. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's like several pages of assurances.
It might not be a bad idea to put together a synopsis, though, just even what each
what
title
our
fund
categories.
funds.
Yeah.
Not everybody
I think that would be very
necessarily
helpful
knows
and
that.
educate us just the overview, and then if we want to dive deeper, because we're, based on that description, we're not going to go and look at it, right? So.
Well, I mean, actually, as I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's not
I
too.
mean, I would love to know why, for example, if you're consulting private school data for the idea flow through part, why aren't all of the private schools that people here go to on the list?
Because the school has a opportunity to opt in or opt out.
So
So
we
if
don't,
they
even though
opt
we
in-
might have 40 people from our
Correct.
area go
If
to
their
St.
school
Ignatius, we don't.
opts out, then they're not entitled to the title fund.
Well,
we do
it's
have
Actually-
the ones that are inside our district. So it's the St. Paul's, it's the Mary C. Elizabeth. that's-
For example, Notre Dame each year,
Yeah.
Don
Yeah.
reaches out.
It's actually different for each grant. And for Title II, for example, which is our professional development grant, it's only for the non-public schools in our attendance area. But for Title I contacted about 15 non-public schools around us. If they have one of our students, they might be eligible for some Title I funds. So I actually did contact all of them. I heard back from maybe 5. After a couple contacts, I need to do one more. But never have they stood up and said, yeah, we want services, because it's kind of difficult. They have to prove that our students is a low-income student that's at their non-public school, and then they have to prove that one of our students has an academic need, it's like one grade level below in math or reading, before they get their per pupil share, which might be a few $100s, which we could get some tutoring for them or something. But most have not pursued that because it's a lot of work just for a few $100s. Thankfully, this year, there's a few students who reside in Maine West attendance area at St. Viator who are low income. So I'm going to be working more closely with them to see what kind of services we can provide. But
So if we can maybe work with Ken and just get whatever's not over arduous, we would appreciate that. So thank you. All right. Update on monthly FOIA requests.
month, both of the.
Action items, consent agenda, do I have a motion on items 7A through I?
Second.
Austriaco?
Aye.
Collins? Coyle? Lee? Yusuf Abramson? Bessler?
Aye. Okay, item 8, Board of Education Policies and Procedures. This is the second reading, we've gone, we're gonna, before I ask the motion, we're gonna go through 8A through D, but, votes first. Can I have a motion on items 8A through D?
So moved.
Okay, so on these, this is the second reading, we've talked about these at length, we've had multiple times to look at them. Okay, is there any additional questions, or I think we're ready, well, let me ask, any questions on any of them? We've gone through that pretty well. Okay. Roll call again.
Yusuf Abramson? Lee?
Aye.
Coyle? Collins? Austriaco? Bessler?
Aye. I have a motion on 8B, 2019-2020 school calendar changes.
Second.
And then I understand there's just a minor change to that, Sean, you want to share what that is?
So one of the things that happened in the Evidence-Based Funding Act is the state actually added they raised the minimum number of student attendance days. And so we didn't get guidance on that until the spring, so we needed to come back and make some changes in partnership with the MTA to the school year calendar. So what you see are four bullet points that are the changes for next year in that memo. And so basically, in essence, what will happen is they lowered the number of teacher institute days. So we basically traded 2 teacher institute days for days that students will be in school. And so that new calendar reflects that. This also lines up with our partner districts' calendars. So the only day I think where they will not be in attendance that we will, and this occurs from time to time, is the November election day. Very often they're off and we're not because sometimes their schools are used as polling stations and tend to close school for that day. So other than that, nothing major.
Along with that line, I just want to provide a very positive feedback from the parents and also students about this changing calendar times. They like the change of this calendar days, and then early ends of school, paper finals, and then moving forward. That's surprising because of the positive feedback, so just want to mention.
Thank you.
Okay. Including in my own household, so. Okay, can we have a roll call on 8B?
Collins? Lee? Austriaco? Yusuf Abramson? Coyle? Bessler?
Aye. Okay, number 9A through F, approval of bids and awarding contracts, do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Okay, all these A through F were already discussed in the reports out on the finance meeting, and you had all the information within your packets as well. Any questions on those?
Just quickly, I'm fine, and we agree and so on, and we will be moving forward, no problem with that. But just quick questions on the D, the contract with remuneration greater than 1,000 sports supply agreement. Is it normal standard that company that we are having a contract with or have a business with, they tend to give us credit in advance the money, $5,000 each to schools, so that we could have to use it, and then we get a kickback or a commission later on for addition too. But why do we have to, the company giving us in advance $5,000 each to our school district to use it?
They want our business. Simple. They want our business. I mean, that's it. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, they're looking at the long picture of all of the different pieces of apparel that School of 2000, and sports apparel and everything else. So it's just, it isn't usual. I mean, the vendor that gives us paper towels, they're not giving us money for that. But in the buildings, it used to be common with like Pepsi contracts and Coke contracts and things like that, which don't exist anymore the way that they used to be. But more analogous to that.
Well, and they're giving us just a credit for their apparel also, so it's not like they're giving us cash that we can spend. It's beneficial to them.
Yes,
That's
it's
it.
beneficial.
It eventually benefits
Yes,
us too.
Too,
So,
it's both,
you
it
know.
goes both ways, but it's helpful for them, I think, because we can then, I think it's usually the coaches we discussed,
Which is
that are meeting.
free appearance, but students will buy the name brand, the athletic appearance, but students eventually have to pay for it too, right?
Depends.
Or the school pays for it?
Yeah, so the uniforms are provided if the student wants something specialized or above the uniform package. It's not uncommon for a student to buy.
Which is fine, but I'm just really concerned as a business perspective. I'm just hoping, even though the company give us 35% discounts for to X amount of money that we are spending, and 10%, 8% discounts on X, Y, Z, which is fine, but I'm hoping that because they're giving us this advanced credit, and even though they're saying that they're giving us a discount, but I hope that they're not just jack up the prices in certain level, so we have no choice to buy from the company, even though we are receiving discount, but still have a paying high price compared to if the students can just go to the department store and buy a Nike brand, athletic fit, whatever, for a far lower cheaper price.
I think one of the benefits that Easton wants to derive from BSN is that it is not a single provider, so it's not, they're not knocked into Nike. They can offer a wide range of products, like a Badger shirt, dry fit, that is substantially cheaper than a Nike. And that's why I think that they've chosen to go to BSN, because there are a wide variety of price points. So that students, there's a much more cognizant level that, you know, you can get a long sleeve, 3/4 zip up for $20, $25. Where if you had an exclusive apparel agreement with Under Armour, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, it would be very difficult to get a 3/4 zip, if not impossible, for $20.
Just hope that the students can able to receive again discounted or benefit or cheaper, lower price than individually would pay for all.
Okay. Any other questions on nine, A through F?
No, I just have real quick, why is it Maine South in that?
Because Maine South buys from a variety, so they buy a lot of Nike gear, and Nike from time to time gives them special agreements. I mean, if you recall, several years ago, Nike came in and provided a very high discounted because they were able to leverage the success of some athletic teams. I think as we
But still, why
continue to see
can't,
success.
why can't they do that to Maine East and Maine South as a package deal, because we are in one room, one district, so that we can negotiate to the,
Because at the end of the day, it would be more expensive for our kids at Maine East and Maine West to have to buy Nike exclusively.
Because a lot of the booster, Maine South has some really strong booster groups that want to go their own way in football, right? They want to go with whatever vendor they have, they've been successful in fundraising that way. And Maine East and Maine West, I don't believe have, not right, not as much, right, so.
And it's always good to look and make sure that we're being equal to fair to our schools, so I appreciate the comment, but I think we're ready to roll call. Anybody else? Collins? Lee? Yusuf Abramson? Austriaco? Coyle? Bessler? Can I have a motion on 9G to K?
Second.
Okay, these are all educational items that are related to our online subscriptions that have all come up for our online software. Is there any questions on these?
Did you say K is?
Okay. Yes.
I'll just point out one new one, just so you're aware. Newsella, Renaissance Learning, Mastery Manager, Reading Plus are all existing subscriptions that we're just looking to renew. The new one though is a PACE Lab, which is for our special education department as part of their transition services. So it's actually something new we're going to be able to offer our special education students. Some very specific job training pieces as they transition out into the work world. And it actually helped us close a little bit of the gap that we have between some of the outplacement services that we now can focus on for our kids. So
Which item was
good
that,
use
G?
of-
G, that one?
That's G, yes.
Okay. So
So
G
very
is a
good
new
use
item,
of
and
title.
H, I, J, and K were just renewals.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions more on that? Take a roll call.
Lee,
Aye.
Collins. Austriaco.
Aye.
Coyle. Yusuf Abramson. Bessler.
Aye. Okay, can I have a motion on 9F?
So moved.
Okay, and that, this is, was discussed in finance as well. And I just pulled this up because it wasn't an education item. So, is there any questions for Mary on this? We talked about it before, and report out on finance. Okay, take a roll call.
Austriaco.
Aye.
Collins. Yusuf Abramson. Coyle. Lee.
Aye.
Bessler.
Aye. Okay, can I have a motion on 9M?
So moved. Second.
And this is just due to a recent situation with the high voltage electric. Any questions on this?
I'm going to give you a little update. As the contractor finds out if it was a lightning strike, it will be covered under insurance, but we're getting board approval in the event that it is not a lightning strike to go forward with, they're doing the emergency repair so we can have electricity at Main South.
Which is important.
Which
So,
is important.
so insurance coverages then, covers it, then we do not have a satellite.
Correct,
So it's just to be proactive.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Take a roll call.
Yusuf Abramson. Lee.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Coyle. Austriaco.
Aye.
Bessler.
Aye. Okay, I have a motion on item 10.
So moved. Second.
So this is student discipline procedures 2019-2020 revised, which is being revised to a new title of Behavioral Support Guidelines and Procedures and Extracurricular Code of Conduct. I'll say that 10 times fast. So is a chance to, this has been revised and we've had a chance to review this. Any discussion on this, or do Greg, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, just real quick, changing the title to be something more positive in response to Senate Bill 100 that these procedures were based on and modified a couple of years ago. And we updated some changes to these absence recording procedures with our new student information system. And then the other changes are related to student dress code that was modeled after a national model dress code, and also very similar to the one that Evanston Township has used as part of their equity and inclusion practices.
Any questions? Roll call.
Austriaco.
Aye.
Yusuf Abramson. Coyle. Lee.
Aye.
Collins. Bessler.
Aye. Do I have a motion on number 11, timeline for 2019-2020 budget approval for District 207 and Ensor?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and Mary, can you share with us what those timelines are?
Sure. Both budgets will go on public display on July 1st. The District 207 budget will get discussed at the Finance Committee meeting in July. Both budgets at the August meeting will have a public hearing. Later that evening, we hope that the NSER budget is adopted as joint agreements are required to file their budget by the end of August. The 207 budget would be scheduled for adoption at the September meeting, allowing some time for us to provide any input on the form of the public comments and feedback on the budget. And the district budgets are required to be filed by the end of September.
Any questions about it?
Collins. Austriaco. Coyle. Lee. Yusuf Abramson. Bessler.
Aye. Can I have a motion on number 12, on the IGA with North Cook Intermediate Service Center? And you want to, this is just a renewal, right?
It's a renewal. I just want to remind the board that not that long ago, we used to pay for 50 seats a year at North Cook and north of $500,000. I don't know what number this represents, what we say, 3 or 4 seats total, about 3 seats. So these are non-special education students whose have offenses that otherwise could be recommended for expulsion from school and continue their education over at North Cook. And actually, they're moving on to it, but just some perspective. We used to annually just pay for 50 seats up front and use all 50 and then some.
And elementary supplies
was 50 seats back, like 10 years ago, that was over $500,000. Probably 11 or 12,000 a kid and a $2,000 assessment. It was well north of $500,000. Public decision staff.
Any other questions? All right, roll call.
Lisa Abramson. Lee. Austriaco. Coyle. Collins. Bessler.
Aye. Can I have a motion on number 15, waiver of facility rental? So this is a renewal. Oh, are we doing, I guess we can do, that was on 13A and B. So can we just amend that as second? And this, A is a renewal of, it Maine West, but, and then this is your big chance if you want to talk about your percentage of agenda item. Well, actually, it's a gymnastics class, we've done this for
We've done it before,
several
yeah.
years, so they can have them there. This one is for district, which I think is a nice partnership. Any questions on that? And then on the display means any questions on the motion laid out, that's also been done before. Okay, we'll take a roll call on 13A and B.
Coyle. Lee. Austriaco. Collins. Yusuf Abramson. Bessler.
Aye. Okay, can I have a motion on item 14, Maine Township Treasurer Bond Proceeds Manager? Okay, Mary, you want to share with us?
Sure. As stated earlier, we are recommending that the township treasurer serve as the bond proceeds manager and will allow the district to save some cost on the bond proceeds management. So the motion includes rejecting the request for proposals from the other firms and authorizing us to move forward with the township treasurer as the bond proceeds manager. We're aligning, getting everything in alignment for the sale of bonds, which the board will hear more about probably later this year.
And just briefly, since I wasn't able to be at the finance meeting, and why was the treasurer chosen?
So if you hire, the township treasurer by law serves as the custodian of investments for the school district. So they do all of our investments, which is what a bond proceeds manager did. So because of the size of the bond issues, we went out and got pricing on a third party acting as a bond proceeds manager. We did this in tandem with the township treasurer, then the township treasurer came in and said, based on the responses that we received, they felt that they could do the services at a cheaper fee, so they would ask the finance committee to entertain using them as the bond proceeds manager. Then we had their proposal reviewed by the lowest bond proceeds manager, who said certainly this could save money going in this. The investment options are the same, that they would stand by their reputation, but that they understood that this was a viable option for the school district.
All right. Any other questions? No? Okay, roll call.
Coyle. Yusuf Abramson. Austriaco. Collins. Lee. Bessler.
Aye. Okay, number 15, the calendar items is informational. Any changes or adjustments or questions? Just note that because of the July 4th holiday, that our July meeting is going to be July 8th, not July 1st. Please show up.
For September, how about September? I think we have a meeting on Tuesday or Monday too. So
Yeah.
they would,
Labor Day?
so now we get
Now it's easy. So we'll make sure we remind them of that. Thank you, Jen. So, let's see, any public comments? There's no cards?
No.
Nope. Any other items? Okay. Do I have a motion to go into closed sessions for the purpose, for the purpose of review of closed session minutes and appointment, employment, compensation, performance, or dismissal of specific employees?
Austriaco. Collins. Coyle. Lee.